to, we just thought we would do a quick little Packernet pregame show. I think everybody in here is probably at about a level 8 with nausea and nervousness, right? Season on the line. So here we sit. And as soon as we go live, of course, Justin pops off. That's how that always works. But anyway, so obviously we got Pack Daddy himself, Ryan Schlip, with us here. We got Goose. He's going to be the mime over there. Okay, we got him in the chat. Anything he wants to add, we'll have him. Justin's back now. Justin with the Packernet Fantasy Podcast, kind of a co-host helper there. Obviously does our awesome graphics on Packernet. And then we got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jacob up there, the host of Packernet Fantasy Podcast. So what we're going to do is just kind of last second here. Obviously, we're roughly 45 minutes before the game starts. I guess about an hour now, something like that. And we thought we would kind of hit on the important things. And first and foremost, before we get into kind of offense, defense, and special teams matchups here, Ryan, let's talk about the injury report. We were kind of chatting about it offline.
Yeah.
And really the only person we got to worry about is Josiah DeGuara, but I think we would both agree that, man, that's kind of a tough one because Josiah has been playing a big role in this running game here of late. What do you think, man? Do you think he'll play tonight, first of all? And if he doesn't, who do you plug into kind of that H-back role? Is it Tunyon? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm kind of torn because on one hand, if that's the worst case scenario, that's awesome, right? We've got David Bakhtiari and Aaron Jones is doing okay, and we got our wide receivers, and we've had so many injuries. This is weirdly one of the healthiest we've been all season. But you're right. I mean, I think the biggest weakness of this Lions team is their run defense. They're so bad at it, and just having that little bit extra with Josiah DeGuara to come in, we've all seen him come across the formation and just light guys up and lead the way. It does kind of suck a little bit, but I still trust in our guys. I love the way that our guys block. I don't know necessarily about H-back, but maybe they try Tyler Davis or something in that. But still, we've got guys like Big Dog and Lazard, and I love how Christian Watson blocks and all that stuff. So I think our guys will do a good enough job. And if we're worried about that, then we just stick to old school football and just you got your offensive line, push people and run. We'll make it work. We'll be all right. But yeah, I hope he plays. And I think it gives us a pretty big advantage against a really, really bad run defense.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I know Goose in the chat says that, maybe DeGuara's nickname needs to be J-Dog. J-Dog. That sounds
J-Dog.
like a very Caucasian thing to say there. That's
right.
Yeah. And we got Jacob here in the chat says the reason that Justin's camera's off is because he has a horrible mustache. That's just the way it is. So
that's not me. That's some company hater.
All right, let's go around the horn here. Jacob, what do you think, man, injury-wise? Coming in pretty healthy. I know on Detroit's side, they've got quite a few people questionable, it looks like. First of all, their guard,
I think they lost the guard,
know how to say his name, Awazika is out. Looks like he got questionable, a defensive line Brockers, questionable, Kabinda, which is a fullback, Elliott, the safety, Okuda at corner, questionable, and then Frank Ragnall at center, questionable. Man, we catching a little bit of a break here playing some backup centers potentially, especially with what happened with the Vikings. But what do you think, man? How are you feeling as far as health, injury, all that good stuff?
Oh, like I said, dude, I'm like right now my heart's beating so hard, just getting excited and ready for this game. I'm just at this point, I've never had a season where I think I would just be legitimately, I'd be okay if we lost, not okay emotionally and physically, but just the fact that we battled back to get to this point where we could have, obviously I want us to win and I hope we win. And if we don't, I'm going to lose my mind. But the fact that we were able to overcome so much adversity and go on a little bit of a streak here, the fact that we got to see it a little bit in person, Clayton and Justin, that we got to, just share a little bit of that experience. We were basically at the start of the run, kind of basically. And so as far as what happens tonight, man, I'm going to try to take it in stride, take it without losing my mind. And then even if we win, just go into the playoffs and look at it as, like Ryan always talks about, you got the same chance as everybody else, so it's a blank slate. I think that we're getting hot at the right time. And the defense, I'm just excited about the defense, the way that Jair is finally becoming that shutdown corner. I want us to see if we can maybe get some more pressure on the edge, because I feel like that'll be a big Achilles heel going into the playoffs if we can't generate more pressure without Gary, obviously. But other than that, man, just see Watson shine. I want to see Dobbs take a step, hopefully, so that we're not just forcing it to Lazard constantly all game. But other than that, I'm excited. I'm I'm ready.
Absolutely. Chet in the chat says, "Let's go." I don't know if it's go or goo, but either way, man, I'm feeling the energy.
Hope it's go.
I'm down for whatever. Let's party.
Well, Jacob said if they lost, he's not going to lose his mind, but I guarantee you he'll lose his voice because that dude is going to he's going to be screaming all night. And first of all, man, the box that we sat in, we got so lucky up there, Ryan, because it was a rowdy box. We were the calm ones, bro. It was great.
Clayton, you know what that reminds me of?
You got to kind of be like, all right, let me look. Like the last time we sat in the box last year, we looked around. It's like, okay, there's quite a few kids in here. That dude's in a suit. Who the hell is he? What's he doing? Okay, and we got in this one, bro. And they were getting cut off alcohol in the first quarter. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like my kind of party.
Yeah. So anyway, Justin down here, the guy who can't get his camera to work, he was sitting down in the bowl freezing his keister off that night. But Justin, what do you think, man? Health wise, Packers coming in looking pretty good, other than Naguara. How do you feel? Initial thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, for the health factor, what more can you ask for? We're not really down a whole lot of guys. I think this is probably the healthiest we've come into close to the postseason in probably a long time. For the game, like Jacob said, man, I'm so nervous already. 2 hours before the game even started, my hands are already sweating, my feet are sweating. I got the anxiety through the roof. It's just this. It's not the playoffs, but it is for us right now. If we lose, this is the last game we're going to get to see this season. And I feel like this year we're kind of getting hot at the right time. And not to make the parallel, but the last time we won the Super Bowl, we went on the road for every playoff game, you know? Mm-hmm. So I feel like this team, we can do it. If we win a night, to be honest with you, I kind of welcome the 49ers next week if we can pull it off. I think the 49ers are probably the toughest team in the NFC right now, and if we're going to make a run at the Super Bowl, we might as well start there. If we win this game, give us the Niners. Let's see what we can do, you know?
Yeah,
absolutely. We're all on the same page tonight because me and Ryan were talking offline, and it's like, we know this isn't a slam dunk win. First of all, Detroit's scrappy, and I think it's great. You win, you earned a spot in the playoffs. Plain and simple. If you lose, hey, you were close, even with all the adversity, all the injuries, everything that happened up to this point. But yeah, man, I think it's going to be a good night. Goose in the chat, referring to the Caucasian comment, says it checks out. I'm whiter than mayonnaise. And then he says, I want to crush the Niners' dreams so bad. But you really did, man. You hit the nail on the head for me, Justin, because bring on the hardest opponent. If we sneak into the playoffs, bring on the big dogs, and let's just go in there fighting. And we were talking just a few minutes ago about how there are a lot of parallels to the Super Bowl team there in 2010. Not that we're saying, hey, this team is a favorite to win the Super Bowl. We know that. I've heard very few people say that. A lot of people think it's silly to even think they got a shot, even though they're as healthy as they've been all year. But yeah, I mean, we think of the names that stepped up that year because we had at the time, it might have been a record for players that went on IR that year. And, I remember Jermichael Finley going down. And then, of course, Ryan Grant went down. James Stark stepped in. We were kind of chatting about that. And then, lo and behold, like Goose mentioned, you got people like Nixon this year, right? You got people like Rudy Ford that have stepped up. So there are a lot of parallels. And here in the chat, Mike says, let's see what Mike said. He says, time to go on safari tonight. Big game hunting. That's what I'm talking about, man. Listen, you're playing with the house's money. Plain and simple. Yeah. Nobody expected you to be here. I went back and looked at it and kind of walked back through the weekly scores of how the season unfolded earlier. And at one point we were 3. What was the record, Ryan? 3 and what?
3 and 6. I think at 1 point 4 and 8. I think we were also at. It was 4
bad. 4 and 8 was the worst it got to.
Yeah.
4 and 8.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. So let's talk about the offense for a second. I recently did a pod and kind of broke down points per play and looked at both of these teams. And coming into this game, Detroit points per play is 5th in the league, right? But in their last 3 games, they're 10th in the league. Okay, so they've dropped off just a touch here of recently. Green Bay side, they are 15th in points per play, but the last 3 games, they're 4th. So you got these two teams that have had different seasons that have kind of intersected now, right? What do you think, Ryan, offensively? What do you see tonight? And I'm just going to go on a record right now and say my big, I don't know what you would call it. I guess my bold prediction. I think the return of the end around to Christian Watson returns tonight. I think you're going to see a big end around play. Maybe it's a touchdown, maybe it's a long run. But what's the first thing that comes to mind, man, thinking offensively for the Packers?
Well, it was funny because I just did a Lions podcast and they asked me more or less, what's the one thing you got to watch out for? And I said, watch out for our running backs because I know you guys struggle against the run and all that. And I said, the only caveat would maybe be Christian Watson, but I don't exactly know if you guys are more of a man or zone team. I haven't looked into it. And they said, we're a heavy man team. And I said, well, then you better freaking watch out for Christian Watson because that boy's going to cook you if you're going to be playing man coverage. So you're right. Those end arounds, if you're playing man coverage, you've seen that. Where you kind of go in motion and it's like, all right, and he doubles back, you're not going to catch him.
Nope.
So, I'm all in on the running backs, but if you're going to play heavy man coverage type stuff, I think Christian Watson might have a big game tonight.
Absolutely. I could see that totally. And we've got here in the chat, Mr. I don't even know how to say it.
Narcan.
I'm not going to try. I apologize, man.
Narcan.
Say it, Jake. I almost said narco, and I'm like, I don't want the feds kicking on my door because I'm mentioning narco. Anyway, sorry, Big B was one of those guys that stepped up, referring back to 2010. My favorite backup awesome. 2010 reminds me a little bit of Rudy Ford. Man, that's, Rudy Ford's a little bit of a thumper. He plays with his hair on fire. I can kind of see that comparison for sure.
Yeah, Big B was a killer, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Goose in the chat said, what's he going to eat? What's that, Jake?
No, I was just thinking when Ryan, you guys are kind of talking about like your things to watch. Mine, I guess, would be if our secondary, because I have a feeling like the Lions are going to come out and really try to use that passing attack. So are we going to actually let Jair, is Barry going to use Jair with that? Not like he's locking him down, following him the whole time, but he's doing it like 55, 60% of the time. You know what I'm saying? Where he's just kind of hanging with him. Like Ryan said, maybe it's man-on-man situations where he's one-on-one and then they put a cover 2 on him and then they break it up, but they disguise the coverages with him a lot where he's hanging with him, not necessarily shadowing him the whole game, but just bothering him the whole game where he doesn't get in that motion. We're kind of Justin Jefferson-ish where he just picks on him the whole game, but kind of still backs off. I'd love to see that. And then because I don't feel like that they have the running game to match with us. And I don't know. I feel like they're going to force the running game at first, and hopefully we can plug that up. I want to see Quay Walker. Supposedly, if he gets like 7 tackles, he breaks a rookie Packer record held by A.J. Hawk for the all-time rookie tackle. So, I mean, cool. I think that'd be great. Love that.
Yeah, obviously having an extra game here, in an 18-week season, but I'd like to see him come out and have 14, 15 tackles and really make the record a little more meaningful, rather than just, get 1 or 2 over. That would be awesome. And then Goose in the chat said, you got to play sound on the back end and trust the line to slow down the running attack. I completely agree there. Justin, what do you think offensively, man? What are you expecting tonight? What do you want to see? Talk to us.
Shoot.
Offensively, I think that's going to be one of the main key factors to how we are going to win the game, because I feel like, I guess both sides of the ball, because their defense is pretty bad. Their offense is really good. It's just going to depend, is Joe Barry's defense going to hold together as well as it has over the last month and keep making plays? And like Jacob was talking about Jair, with what they do with Jair, I really do think that he should probably shadow Amon-Ra, and not necessarily to the point where he needs to see him on every play, but he needs to get in his head like he did with Jefferson. I like to see what he did in the last game where he's bullying them at the line and really getting in the team's head,
Mm-hmm.
For the back to the offense, I really think that, and my prediction on Twitter was that Christian Watson has a big game, especially like Ryan was just saying, if they're playing man the whole game, Watson is going to toast them and Rodgers is going to be looking to get him the ball. So, when it comes to the running game, I really feel like Detroit is a little bit underrated. Jamal Williams is quietly having a better season than most people actually notice. He has a lot of touchdowns, but he's also got 1,000 yards on the ground. I'm not sure what his PFF grades look like, but I think they run the ball better than they're.
He's got a lot of attempts, but he's having an average. He's decent. Are you guys watching the Rams and Seattle game?
I'm absolutely. This game is killing me.
it's tied a little.
Give us a little
close here.
It's 16-16. Seattle just got the ball back.
56 seconds left.
56 seconds left. Yep.
I've been refreshing it, trying to pay attention. Speaking of that, you guys want for the outcome? What do you think? I think I'm a little more nervous if the Seahawks win.
I get it. I just don't buy it.
No.
Yeah.
Here's my thought. Who cares more about the outcome of this game, the Packers or the Lions?
Lions.
The Lions do. Why? Because getting into the playoffs means more than spoiling for somebody else.
Yeah.
The Packers aren't going to be more excited about the Lions being out than the Lions are excited about being in. And that's the same thing with this game.
That's not the thing that makes me nervous. The thing that makes me nervous is if the Lions don't have a shot at the playoffs, I feel like they're still going to play mad. And since they don't have anything to lose, going to be pulling all their tricks out with their, it's 4th and 4. Screw it. Let's go for it anyways. We don't have
trying
anything.
to think.
Well, I think they do that if the season's on the line.
Yeah, I can see the case for both for sure. I think what Justin's trying to say is they may try to bite kneecaps. Is that what you're saying, Justin?
Yeah, basically.
I think is Smith is Geno out or what? He just get knocked out?
Uh-oh.
Who knows? All right,
so he got hit out of bounds. There's
Geno
a penalty
Smith was
and
injured. Uh-oh. Unnecessary roughness.
Geno's not getting.
No.
He got nailed real hard out of bounds. There's a flag, and I don't know if he's getting up. I think it was Jalen Ramsey laid him out.
Oh boy.
Nice. All right, so Mike in the chat says Watson's literally open on every play, has been all season. I think there's been a lot of chatter about that throughout this season for sure. John Schneider, I thought he was in Seattle right now. What's going on here? Anyway, Preston will be looking for that sack and a half for his $1 million.
Yeah, man. Get that money.
Food on the table, baby. I'm hearing you on that. And then, of course, here we have Goose in the chat says pound the rock, then take your play action shots to Dobbs and Watson, mix in some sweeps and passes to the running backs, and their defense is done. The thing that stood out to me, and let's just go ahead and kind of jump into their defense, points per play defensively. Detroit is 30th on the year, but the last 3 games, they're 20th. So they've improved a little bit here recently. Of course, Green Bay's 25th on the year, and they've improved to 16th, which is a significant jump in the last 3 games for sure. The thing that really stood out to me is the coverage grade on PFF for Detroit. And, I think it was in the 40s, Ryan, if I remember right. So, if you can establish a run early, just don't get too cocky. Don't try to get cute like you did the game before when they played Detroit in Detroit. That's exactly what happened. They tried to get cute in the red zone. Right. They wanted touchdown passes. You could tell they were trying to
throw into David Bakhtiari, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That was the last Lions game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, there were three interceptions, I think, down in the 2 of them were at the red zone. One of them, the ball was at the red zone. I think it was like a 20-yard pass. So.
One of them put the Lions linebacker in concussion protocol when Aaron hit him right in the face with the ball. You guys remember that? So it was. I'm telling you, you can't get cute, man. You can't. But when you look at their defense, before I turn it over to you here, Ryan, Justin in the chat said, "Let's go, y'all, the boys that got us through this season. Let's kick a double." You know what? There tonight and get into playoffs, man. I want to cuss with you so bad, Justin. I'm fired up, but we can't do it. We gotta stick to the code here.
Wait till we're not recording, and there'll be plenty coming out of my mouth.
Because I'm going to tell you, we had conversations offline, and it was rough at times, man. It's hard to do a podcast. I don't know how Ryan does it every single day, but doing 4 a week for me, man, when the team's struggling like they were. I've got about a 25-foot deck out here, and there's a couple of times I thought about just falling off it head first, just to be honest with you. I'd rather done that than a podcast, but it's pretty cool how everything's come together, man. It almost makes it a little bit sweeter. But anyway, Ryan, defensively, what do you think about Detroit, man? Is there anything that worries you about their defense? How do you think we should attack them?
No good. Holy mother!
Oh, you missed it.
He missed it.
I'm way behind you. That sucks. Anyways, the pass rush is what makes me nervous. I know Aiden Hutchinson is really coming on strong, and they got some other guys that are really doing a good job. And that's always been kind of our Achilles heel is when you get us out of our rhythm, you get after Rodgers a little bit. Mm-hmm. Passing game isn't there, and then obviously if you win up front, the run game isn't there. That's just when things cause problems. So we need our offensive line to be able to handle that. And if Rodgers has time, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, and just take every point they give you, man. That's the big thing.
Absolutely. Yep.
Take every single point they give you. Anyway, Jacob, defensively, man, what stands out to you, bro, as you're watching the game over there?
Looking nervous. Off the right upright. Wow, the end of that game was cruel. It's not done yet. Defensively for us, I guess
just all the way around from the defensive side.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just worried about our interior pressure and edge pressure because it seems like I don't know I believe it was Ryan's podcast where all of a sudden the major change I should say in our defense was that we're dropping 7 and that's kind of been the biggest night and day switches to what we've done. Was it since the bye week or whatever it was that and that's weird to me because in my head, I thought that I remember a stat from early in the year where Barry was like the least blitzing coach. Did something then mid-season switch along those lines, and then he settled back into being.
I kind of wonder if it was
when.
I kind of wonder if it's when Rashawn went out. We started kind of going heavy with extra guys. Yeah. That's the only thing I could think because I remember that too.
That would make sense.
Yeah. I guess I would look for it tonight. If the quiet people if we do get randomly beat, I would say it's going to happen because of people like Jamison Williams or like a DJ Chark or something like that. You know, somebody that you're not expecting to light it up, just having a crazy game. Swift goes off, you know, or Rodgers is uncharacteristically off for whatever reason. I'm not sure. I don't really know. I'm so nervous that it's hard for me to think clearly, honestly.
Yeah, the big thing that kind of the first thing that pops out to me is what Ryan said on if things don't go as scripted, if you don't get out to an early lead, this year Rodgers has got antsy. And yeah, the accuracy's been off with the thumb and obviously the ribs and now a little bit of tweaking of the knee. But at the same time, man, it's been decision making. He doesn't look comfortable. He doesn't like now. This last game, I believe it was when he reset the pocket and threw the touchdown pass to Robert Tonyan. That's the first time in a long time that I felt like that looked like Rodgers' feet. Like he looked comfortable enough to slide up and maybe it's that Bakhtiari's 100% healthy now along with Elton Jenkins. But Justin, what do you think though, man? From the defensive side of the ball, whether it's the Packers or the Lions, what's kind of sticking out to you?
From our side of the defense, if we come out and we play like we did last week, I feel like we definitely win this game. I know Detroit has a pretty solid defense, and in preseason, I think we all knew that they were going to be pretty good on offense. I might have said defense. I'm sorry, but I feel like they are no better than Minnesota's offense, and there's no reason we can't shut them down in the same way. If we come, we play aggressive. Like I said, have Jair. Really all the guys bully him at the line and show him who's boss a little bit, you know, punch him in the mouth. It's something that we've been begging for this team to do for how long. It seems like we're always the ones getting punched in the mouth and then we fall back. Last game, I feel like our defense came to play. They came to play tough, and they need to play that same type of game today. Come show up and punch them in the mouth a little bit, show them who's boss, and let's punch this ticket.
I'm wondering, Sorry, real quick, Clayton. Have you noticed those really huge? Remember those massive cushions that we were watching our quarterbacks give? Where pre-snap, you're looking and you're like, "Yeah, they're gonna pass to that guy right there."
Yeah,
it's
15 yards off the ball. They're 10 yards off the ball.
Yeah,
and here's why: because during that span, in my opinion, what I seen on tape was you were bringing 5 rushers. Last week, they brought a lot of 4-man rush, if I remember correctly. So you've got 1 extra in coverage. You can play a little more aggressive. You can keep the 2 on the shelf a little bit longer, but even with the late rotation, you've got those 4 under defenders. You can be aggressive and kind of play off each other. That's kind of what I seen. But yeah, it's this is the big thing for me right here in the chat. Andy Monday, appreciate you hanging out with us, bro. He said, if we've got 4th down inside their 10, how often should we kick field goals or go for touchdowns? Listen to me right now. Kick the freaking field goal, please, for the love of God. Like, if you had done that the first time you played against Detroit, you would have won that ball game. I truly believe that because I believe one, if not both, of those red zone interceptions were on 4th down, I believe. But, yeah, that's kind of how I see it. How do you feel about that, Ryan? You're inside the 10. What's your rule of thumb? Because to me, it's if you're inside the 5 and there's time to capitalize on the field position, I'm okay with going for it. But if you're in the middle 8 there, you know, if you're coming down the stretch in the second quarter, you may not have enough time to capitalize on the field position, take the points. But there's been so many times this year I've watched so many NFL teams lose games by 3 points or less, and they passed up on 3 field goals the entire game. How do you feel about that?
I'm hyper conservative with that stuff. Almost every, you can hear the stadium going nuts. Go for it. I'm always a take the points guy. I mean, it kind of depends on game flow. Sometimes you're really doing a good job. You're going down and then something kind of fluky happens and you're like, I think we can get this, especially if it's a short enough thing or whatever, or game situation. But I lean very heavily toward don't ever leave points out there. I understand if they get it, then they've got a long way to drive down the field. I don't care. Take the points. It's a momentum thing on top of it. We drove down the field. We ate the clock. We stole some points. We're going to reset. Even if they're starting down there, it's such a momentum shift if they stop you on 4th down. It just saps your soul to watch your team drive all the way down the field for nothing.
Yeah.
So if you can get a minor victory, take the victory, take the points, get your defense back out there and get the ball back, and we'll try it again. I just hate going for it. Obviously, when we get a touchdown, okay, fine, I was wrong, but I am very much a coward when it comes to that stuff. Just kick
I'm
the
right there
field
with
goal,
you,
man.
Ryan. I'm right there with you. I'm
I'm
screaming,
the
take the
biggest
field goal
coward.
every time.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one then.
Yeah.
We'll all be cowards together. Andy
Yeah.
Monday in the chat says, is their defense susceptible to screens and draws? In my opinion, absolutely, Andy. Andy, when you run screens and draws against man coverage, it's huge because essentially you've got one defender that's going to be man up on that running back. And when you run a screen pass, what you're doing is that guy's on an island. If the defensive line, if the pass rushers do not read screen, then he's on an island because everyone else is covering their guy. When you're playing zone, everyone is peeking into the backfield, and you can see the offensive line setting up the screen. Therefore, you can blow it up. It's one of the reasons why I feel like the Packers are fairly good on defense at breaking up the screen is because we play a lot of zone coverage, and you've always got your eyes into the backfield. So that's kind of how I see that. But that's something here lately. I don't think we've seen a lot of screen passes from Green Bay when you kind of flip that conversation. Jacob, what do you think, man, when it comes to the screen game? Do you feel like that's something we should capitalize on tonight, or do you feel like we've underutilized it this year?
Yeah, I mean, just because I think our offense is a little different, I think we could do a lot more. Like, I don't remember who said it, if it was you or Ryan, utilize that Jets motion and maybe throw that screen opposite side and different stuff like that. I miss the days of old where we could just do the old wide receiver Devontae kind of screen where he just kind of takes a step back
Yeah, right.
and, we just chuck it to him and there's 11 yards. Cool. Let's just keep moving it. And I feel like that Watson could develop that because he's got such that fluidity and quick, he's quick twitch, but he's long strides at the same time, which is just crazy to see. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm somewhat glued to this.
Oh, you're
Rams
good.
game.
You're good.
Uh-oh. No.
All right. Goose in the chat
I just
says
saw
if
a
we shut
sack.
down their pass rush, I think the game is over. And I think that's a good point, Goose. If they're
Leave
not
that part
going to
behind.
blitz and try to manufacture pressure and we hold up, which I have no reason to believe that we can't handle their pass rushers tonight. That's one aspect of the game that I feel really, really good about. But what do you think, Justin? Obviously, we want Preston Smith to get that sack and a half and put some more food on the table. But from Detroit's side on defense, are you worried about their pass rush at all?
Not necessarily. I feel like one bright spot of our offense, if not some of the rest of it, I feel like our offensive line is held up as much as they've moved around. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty happy with how they've played. I feel like they've kept Rodgers pretty clean for the most part of the year. Surprisingly, with him having kind of a down year for his standards, at least, I feel like he's been kept pretty clean. He hasn't really had to worry too much. I'm not generally worried about their pass rush too much, but now that I say that, we'll have Rodgers on his back 20 times tonight. I'll ruin our luck, but
Right. Well, we got Mike here. First of all, I want to say thanks to Mike for the super chat. He says,
Packers
no matter
super fan.
what the result tonight, thank everyone associated with Packernet and all the great content you all provide all season long. Mike, I'll say this, man. Thank you for contributing to Packernet After Dark. You're one of my favorite callers. And on top of that, man, we appreciate the super chat. You're always tagging us in tweets. We love it. Sometimes I don't want to respond, but I have to because it's things that I don't want to hear. But that's the beautiful thing about what we do, man, and not necessarily as podcasters, but just being on Twitter and associating with other Packer fans, man, it forces you to see other opinions and kind of look at it from that side. And again, man, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate it. I want to ask you that, Ryan, before we wrap up here in a minute. We're at the 29-minute mark, so we're kind of winding down. How have you enjoyed Packernet After Dark this year, dude? I mean, it's the last game of the regular season. Hopefully we sneak into the playoffs tonight, but has it been fun, man?
I love doing it. It's once in a while doing the regular podcast is kind of a drag. I mean, I always love, once that music hits, I'm in it. But sometimes it's like, man, there's so much work and it's so intensive. And sometimes it's a topic I don't want to cover, but we got to hit it. Packernet After Dark is always so laid back. It's just, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't pre-screen any of the calls. I'm hearing it for the first time when you guys are hearing it. So, no, I love it, man. I just get to hang out and I don't have to do much. Sometimes they ask me to do homework. And as you know, I don't usually do it. I try to get around it. But no, it's a lot of fun and you get to hear a lot of opinions. And Sometimes you guys get me riled up. And like you said, sometimes it's an opinion I don't agree with. And you just got to kind of take it in stride. Sometimes you hear stuff and it's like, I never thought about that. It's a good point. In fact, some of the most insightful things I've come up with for the regular podcast has come from Packernet After Dark. It's like, dang, I never thought of that. Then you dig into it and it's like, holy crap, I never thought about any of this stuff. This is awesome. So, no, I mean, it's been for so many reasons. It's been awesome. Just from 1 minute we're talking about super in-depth stuff. The next minute we're talking about pizza and movies. And I don't know, man, it was a great idea by my wife. And I can't tell if some people love it or hate it, but I love doing it. And people tune in to listen, people call. So as long as that happens, we're going to keep doing it. And I'm just appreciative of everybody that's participating.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's my favorite podcast right now. I enjoy it because you get to hear so many different opinions. And dude, we got some funny.
Oh, I know. Great callers, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scuba Steve, what even is that?
Appreciate you tagging along here tonight, Nico. Thanks for dropping in. We got Garrett. I believe
Nico.
Garrett's called in several times. Is he in the Southwest? Am I thinking right? Is that the right Garrett?
That would be Southern Illinois, Garrett, I think. But I don't know if that's the same one or not.
Anyway, Garrett in the chat says, let's hope the defense comes out aggressive. Pack defense is getting turnovers, and Lions aren't turning the ball over. One of these streaks will be broken, and it's one of the reasons why I kind of feel like you're going to see maybe long sustained drives or a lot of punts and a lower scoring game than the 49 points. Now watch them come out and combine for 70 or something to be hilarious. But that's kind of my initial instinct there, because if both teams protect the football, you may see a game of invisible yards, as Mike McCarthy used to refer to it, with the special teams. And that's one thing, Ryan, that stood out to me. But as far as PFF grade, the Lions had one of the top 5, if not the highest PFF special teams grade. But
yeah,
we got the X factor back there with Keyshawn Nixon. If he breaks one against this solid special teams of Detroit, my goodness, how do you feel about Keyshawn, man? Are we bringing him back or what?
Man, Keyshawn is like, it's. I don't want to overhype it, but he's got to be one of my favorite guys right now. It's just because of the energy he brings to the team, man. It's so much fun. I mean, to go from man. Yeah, to go from last year where we weren't just the worst team in or special teams in football. This is like the worst in 20, 30 years. It was so bad. And we haven't had a good kick returner like this, and just the energy he brings, the excitement he brings, the way it energizes the offense, the way Rodgers gets pumped about him and everything. I haven't been this excited about a guy. Honestly, I mean, Christian Watson would be the only real comparison, and I kind of think a little bit he's past that just because I don't know. And every week I don't buy it. Like Christian Watson, in my mind, all right, he proved he's that guy, and it's just a matter of how good he's going to be. But it's like, come on, Keyshawn Nixon, this guy has never been that. Like, it's a fluke, and every week he just does more. So every week I don't believe it, and I'm hoping that he proves me wrong again this week and absolutely just tears it up, because every time he touches the ball, he is the most electric player with the ball in his hand that we have on this team, and I don't know how that happened.
He really is.
It seems like Goody seems to find one or two of those guys every year.
It is
one of those
every year.
In the rough.
Yeah, Rudy Ford and Keyshawn Nixon this year.
Yep.
Last year, Devondre and Razul. Like, it's every year.
I'd even argue Jerron Reed has kind of came to fruition somewhat lately.
In a few games, he's been huge. Yeah.
I got to the point with special teams, especially on punts. It was just like, just let the thing roll. Don't field it. Like,
don't touch it. Yeah. I don't care if we start on the 2. It's better than the alternative.
Absolutely. John in the chat says, will Barry have Jair shadow Amon-Ra? We kind of hit on it a little bit earlier. Justin, Jacob, you guys take this question. You're the defensive coordinator. You're drawing up the game plan. Do you have him overshadow Amon-Ra like you did, kind of like you did with Justin Jefferson, or do you think, I'm not really that worried about him?
Similar to Justin, it. I wouldn't say – go ahead, sorry.
No, I was going to say you go ahead. I would, but go ahead.
I would say similar to it. Don't exactly shadow him, but they have a lot of good players on their offense, but Amon-Ra is definitely the best guy, the most talented guy that they have. I would say get Jair to get it in his head a little bit, stuff him at the line similar to what he did to Justin Jefferson, and like I said, don't shadow him, but make sure he's in his head and make sure he's on him most plays, and then pass the guys around. Basically just do what they did to Minnesota, man. That was on all 3 phases of the game. That's the best we've seen our team play.
I love it. Just do that again.
Well, Justin, I think you may have got your wish.
10 again. What was my wish? I didn't have a
Seattle-
wish. Slow down.
Seattle has just beat the Rams 19-16 in overtime with a field goal.
Boom. That's good, right?
So the Lions have nothing to play for. That wasn't.
No. Don't they have something to play for now?
No.
No, now they have nothing to play
No.
for.
Yeah.
They're
if
out.
Seattle
Really?
wins, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love
the Lions are out
That's
now.
what makes a great NFL season. Like, we've been like this for the last 3 weeks. Wait, I thought, huh? What?
No.
All of us
No.
have
That's
been
what I
like
mean.
that.
You're so that's what I'm saying. Justin, your argument was that they don't want to play for anything, right?
We
No,
got
I
us a
didn't
B.
want that. I
Got us a
didn't want it.
B.
I didn't want to come into the game where the Lions had nothing to play for because it makes me nervous. I feel like
Right, because
with
you're saying
nothing
that's
to
going to be
lose,
worse.
it's gonna. I don't know, man. Spin it how you
I
want.
feel like that's not. I feel like that's crazy. Now that they don't have anything to play for, they're going to definitely lay their down.
Well, so right now, say tonight it's a critical play on 4th down. It's like 4th and 8, and the Lions have something to lose. Then they're like, yeah, well, maybe we'll punt it. Well, you know what? We don't got nothing
trying
to
to
lose.
think
Let's
of a
just
Ryan
go for it,
Schlip.
and they get it.
Trying to think of a Ryan Schlip metaphor. Like you're arguing that like because your food didn't get to your table, that it's just as satisfying to like hit the
It has to be
person next
food.
to you. Just be like, you don't get your food either, and it's just as satisfying as me eating mine.
Yeah. It tastes just as good to slap his steak on the ground as it would have for me to eat it. I just don't buy it. I'd rather eat a steak than throw somebody else's across the room.
Exactly.
Oh, by the way,
Exactly.
Ryan, I did my first bone-in pork chop, about 3 inches thick.
Yeah, man.
At 140 this time. I went
Okay.
for 140 and let it rest to about 147. Bro,
Dude,
3 inches
Unbelievable.
thick.
right? Yeah, you got to get those thick daddies, man.
yeah, man. It's oh my god, it was so good, dude. Anyway,
Oh, Pack Daddy pork
double
chop.
chin talking.
Yeah.
Nico
I said
said, I
trademark. Pack Daddy
said, I
pork
hope-
chops.
I hope they jam the receivers like the last couple weeks. And again, Nico, I think it's going to come down to are you bringing 4-man pressure or 5? Five or more. If they just stick with a 4-man pressure, you're going to see a defense very, very similar. Now, if you just bring a 4-man pressure and they're not aggressive in the run fit, what we call a run blitz, what you're going to see probably happen is you might want to roll one of those safeties into the box to help stop the run. I don't think anybody's terrified of Jared Goff like taking the roof off the place. So it's just every week it looks the same. They come out with 2 safeties on the shelf, and then they're either bringing 4 or 5 rushers. But again, if they bring 4, I think you'll see a similar defense as last week. Not necessarily saying it's going to be successful. Detroit gets paid too. But I think Seattle winning plays a big role in this game for sure. Here we got in the chat, Sergio says, what's up with Justin? A face made on me for radio or podcast? I'm telling you, when he rolled up in the pregame party there, the tailgate party when we went to Lambeau, as soon as I seen the mustache, all I could think about was Super Troopers. And
He looked like a cop right away.
bro,
You know what?
Jacob,
my beer, I was like, oh,
I'm
no.
out. I'm gone.
I snuck up behind Clayton and gave him a big hug before he could even see
He
me.
did. And I immediately turned around and I'm like, bro, if I had a mustache like that, they would not let me within 100 feet of the school. I guarantee it. So it looks fine on you. You put one on me, though, bro. I look like a creeper. It's horrible.
I'm not sure how I'm going to take that, but all right.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's live to how many thousands of people right now, probably on Twitter, but who cares, right?
I just checked the Packers jumped from 4.5 to 5.5 point favorites now that they're out of the playoffs. So it's not that big of a jump, but the line is moving away from the Lions. The thought is that hurt them a little bit.
Yeah. The only thing that's kind of the wild card there is dang Dan Campbell, bro. Like,
yeah,
I could see him being like, okay, nothing to lose. Let's go out there. And you know what I mean? He just seems like that type. But Goose says, last word for me, this team came back from 4 and dead. We are winning tonight. We are bringing the Lombardi home, and Rodgers is riding off into the sunset of hero. I do believe if for some reason they could pull this off and go on a run and win the Super Bowl, I think Rodgers is walking away.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only way I think he's done.
Yeah.
I really think if they get cut short and all the success we've seen out of Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, there's no way that he doesn't come back next year. But if we somehow make the run and win the Super Bowl, he's going to ride out. There's ride out on a good note, call it a career.
Absolutely. We're not laughing at you, Justin. Nico in the chat says the Packernet podcast is like a relationship. The after dark is a fling.
I've seen that already.
I love it.
A fling or a mistress? Because a mistress, like, you keep it around.
Yeah, so now we got to get
Yes.
Ryan to change the intro music to a little bound chicka wow wow or something. Andy
I'm
Monday
gonna
said,
I'm
"Who
gonna
was
do
our
that for
starting
tomorrow, and 4 people will understand that joke.
Who was our starting O line in the first Lions game this year? Do you guys remember who it was exactly?
I'll pull it
That's
up
a great
real quick.
question. Ryan's working on that right now,
I'll
Andy.
get
And
it.
Ryan, cut me off when you get it pulled up. Let's move on to
Okay.
Sergio here. We got to get ready to wrap this big bear up. Sergio says the biggest game for the Lions in over 10 years, a small stepping stone for the Packers moving into the playoffs. Go Pack, go. Love the energy, bro. Love it, love it, love it. Let's see here. Let's go back to Andy as Ryan's looking that up. When you get it, like I said, just cut me off, Ryan. Andy Monday says, what's your favorite Packers Lions memory? Was it Barry Sanders -1 yards in the 94 playoff game? Obviously, Reggie White in that defense holding Barry to -1 yards.
How can it not be the Hail Mary?
It says Green Bay Detroit played 5 times during the 1994 calendar year. Wow, that's crazy. So you're saying yours is the Hail Mary, Justin. Jacob, what's yours, man? Is it the Hail Mary too?
I'd probably go Hail Mary, yeah.
Heck yeah.
I want to know something funny about that too. Here in Illinois, in Rapid City, where I live, I ran into a dude at the gas station today who was also wearing a Packers hoodie, and I just randomly talk to Packers fans all the time, and I brought up the game today, and he said that he was actually at the Hail Mary game. Like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Nice.
That's
was
awesome.
that Richard Rodgers again that time?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
If they were to go on a Super Bowl run here, it's going to be bittersweet for me because I'm going to be literally down off the coast of St. Thomas on a cruise during the Super Bowl.
Oh,
so
no.
I don't know what in the world I'm going to do to watch that game, bro.
Cancel it.
I'm going to have to pull it off. But
Mandy won't care. Just cancel it.
Yeah, cancel the cruise. You kidding me?
If we were in the Super Bowl, I might just risk a divorce. I'm sorry, baby. I can't miss the Super Bowl.
What's funny is that was her Christmas gift this year too. So yeah, I would definitely be divorced if I canceled it.
You get divorced. Yeah.
So,
All right, I got the offensive line here.
let's hear.
So
it.
it's pretty similar. It's Bakhtiari, Jenkins, Myers, Runyon, and Nyman. But it looks like Bakhtiari must have gone out about halfway through because Zach Tom took about half of the left tackle snaps. But otherwise, pretty much the same offensive line.
Yeah, and Zach Tom's played solid, so I wouldn't say
Oh.
I'd say we kind of expect a similar. And I didn't feel like Aaron was being pressured too much in that game. I just felt like I said, they got too cute inside the red zone. Aaron had a decent PFF grade, if I remember correctly, and I agreed with it because other than the turnovers, he played a pretty solid game. It was just when you, in the worst possible moments, he made the stupidest decisions in that game for whatever reasons.
I would argue, though, that this definitely wasn't Bach and Jenkins anywhere near up to snuff. You know what I mean?
That's a very good point.
Because they
true. Yeah,
didn't
they
start
were-
kind of dusting it off until the last 4 or 5 weeks, I would argue. Maybe a little bit longer. But
Yeah, absolutely. And Eli in the chat, thanks for hanging out with us, bro. He says big game for TJ Slayton if they actually plan to run the ball. TJ's been coming on strong. He had his highest PFF grade of his career so far, right, Ryan? Wasn't that last week? Am I remembering correctly?
Who was that?
TJ Slayton.
Oh, boy. All right, let's take a look here. I'll pull it up.
Working him like a dog.
It's all right. I'll get it.
Great.
That's what I'm here for.
Cool.
So I used to
And
bug Ryan for PFF grades all the time. Hey, can you tell me what so and so's grade is?
Yes,
tell
it
me
was.
what color
It was his
clean-
highest, 80.2. It was his highest for sure. And actually, it's been pretty good because his last 2 weeks prior weren't great, but the 2 weeks before that were. So you got like a 3 out of 5 thing. And considering he's been pretty rocky the whole year, that's not bad to have 3 out of 5 like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Garrett in the chat says time for all the rookies to have the games of their lives tonight. I'm all about it, dude. Give me a Christian Watson 200-yard game. I'd go crazy. Sergio
dude.
said I would agree, except for Rodgers guaranteed $59 million salary next year. That's the thing.
Can everyone
ahead.
agree with me that this is Goody's best rookie class since he took over? By far. Like, it's not even close. And for the first time ever, he drafted not exactly for best player available, but he drafted for position of need, and he nailed almost every single one.
Yeah.
I feel like it
is funny too because I'm usually the one saying like you guys need to chill out. The fans are always just want these flashy guys that are all the big names and you don't know what you're talking about. And this is the 1 year in my life I remember the Packers going out and getting all the positions of need, all the big names, all the flashy guys. and they're all panning out. So maybe I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about. And we should just go get all the positions and needs and all the guys that fell. You know, we're taking Zach Tom who fell and Kingsley who fell, and it's panning out. So I guess I don't know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Sergio said, I would agree, except for Rodgers' guaranteed $59 million salary next year. Sergio, first of all, nobody knows the optional aspect of the contract. If he retires, there's a lot of things that change. And I'll just say, go dig into it. There's been a couple of different articles written about it. Now, for the people that are saying they need to trade Rodgers, that's where it would get ugly. If they tried to cut Rodgers, that would get extremely ugly cap-wise. But just go dig into that, because the cap hit drops down significantly if indeed he does retire. And then Garrett says, time for all the starting rookies. Okay, I already read that. My bad. Here you go. Look at Goose being negative in the chat, except Ryan. So Ryan's
he's not wrong.
Yeah, no, dude.
No.
Sean Ryan's too busy with a needle hanging out of his rear end, I guess. I don't know what happened there. That kind of worried me about Royce Newman.
Not that he's going to play.
Yeah, that kind of worried me about Royce Newman, because Royce Newman, I know he didn't have a great year last year, but I mean, he really struggled this year. And the second that Sean Ryan tests positive for whatever he did, and it's like Royce Newman looks like a train wreck, I immediately, and I'm probably wrong for doing it, I'm not accusing anybody anything, but that's the first thing that popped in my mind was like, man, did Royce just drop off the map for a reason here? Yeah, I'm just saying, man. I'm into conspiracy theories, bro. That's me. That is me. I seen the UFO in Wisconsin firsthand. Ryan can't tell me it wasn't real.
There's a video of it. I saw
garden, and I seen it coming out of the ground, and it was amazing. So
just shooting UFOs into the sky. It was nuts.
It was wild, man. Wow. As soon as I seen it and I showed Mandy, Mandy went, "That's the botanical garden we were at." Like, what are you talking about? Anyway, yeah, and Goose is going to end it on a negative note as we get out of here. He says the third round curse is strong. Hey, it's hard to argue with that. All right, let's go around the horn one more time. Ryan, give me your prediction, dude. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put everybody on the spot. What's your prediction tonight? Score prediction.
30-20 Packers.
Ooh, all right. Jacob, what you got?
27-17. It's super early until about midway through the third quarter, and then we pull away.
Nice. What you got, Justin?
31-28. I think we're going to win. I think it's going to be a nail biter. I think I'm probably going to have a heart attack and hopefully try not to break anything. My wife already warned me. She said, please keep it chill tonight. I said, this is practically the playoffs right now. This could be the last time we see the Packers play for the rest of the season. I don't think it's going to be, but it is a possibility. So there will be no chill. Like I said, two hours ago, the game hasn't even started yet, and I've already got anxiety. My palms are sweating. Just sitting here talking to you guys is helping me calm down just minimally.
I love it.
My chest has been beating for a while. I've been the biggest diehard fan of anybody that I know since I could barely walk. So
Kyle,
this is a big game.
Or as we say down here, since you were crapping yellow, right? Kyle Campbell says playoff bound tonight. Go Pack, go.
Why do you say that?
What? Who? Why? Be high to a June bug.
But why?
Not sure I get that one.
But since he was sipping Mountain Dew out his bottle, right? Garrett says Green Bay 28, Detroit 17. I thought I was going to get kicked off the podcasting crew when I put that as the title the other day as the podcast. When they boat race the Vikings, I put like stealing Mountain Dew from a baby. Ryan never mentioned it, so I guess we're good to go.
We're good.
All right, we got all the predictions rolling in, guys. We got to get out of here. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us. You notice I didn't give a prediction because I don't want to be on the hook for that. All I'm going to say,
don't even get out of here without giving one. You got to go.
Howard up over here.
Christian Watson end around touchdown. There's my prediction. All right, so
I'm calling a bomb.
Appreciate you guys. We'll obviously be back. Some of us, maybe all of us. I don't know. Depends on who's available for the post-game show. Hopefully we're celebrating a playoff berth and not going home. But I will say this. If this is the night that the season ends, proud of the team for fighting. We've shown now Matt LaFleur can actually take a punch. That's pretty cool. And then obviously the next question would be, is Rodgers coming back or not? And there'll be plenty of offseason to talk about that. But let's hope we keep this ride going. Thanks everybody on Twitter and YouTube for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. As always, let's go out and be the change we want.